Hey guys, and welcome back to another live stream as we head into the last day. I mean, it's the last couple of hours. We are about an hour and 45 minutes away from the start of the AFLW season, which it's just good to honestly get this underway after the whole pre-season that we have had. But we are going to see team lists dropped for all of the remaining, I believe it's 7 games in roughly around about what is it now, 50 or so minutes, 45 minutes now. So we'll see that in a little while, and that will give us some clarification on, especially I think for a lot of us, the back line. There's still a few decisions to be made. I think it's still a few 50-50 decisions to be made. But I think a lot of us are set on a pretty standard side. I would say probably a good 12 to 15 players are pretty standard across a lot of teams that I've seen, or a lot of competitive teams, in my opinion. And yeah, I think a lot of people get the general strategy around it. So anyway, let's just jump into it and drop your questions in the comments as well. But before we do, remember to like and subscribe and turn the notification bell on so you know when I not only go live, but I also post videos, etc., as we get into the AFLW Fantasy season. So let's just jump into this. I'm going to not try and give my team away too much, but it will probably come out anyway, and there'll be changes anyway when we get to the point of the teams being named. There probably will be a couple of 50-50 decisions that I'll finally make my mind up on. But yeah, just drop some of your sort of 50-50 decisions that you're weighing up before team sheets in the comments, and then we can sort of run through them, give my opinion on them, etc. And we can jump into this video itself. So I think one of the major things that I've seen over the last, I would say, 24 hours has been in and around a lot of conversation about the defender slots. D3 through about D5, 6 has been a lot of conversation. So I thought I'd start off with that for 5 or so minutes and then just work our way through the questions that pop up eventually. But yeah, so one of the things, if we just go into, and I think everyone will sort of know roughly what I'm mentioning here before I get started, but if we go into this 600K range and go to team selected, etc., you will see McLaughlin, Paxman, Puller still highly rated there. So, and I'll quickly also go as well, and there's been quite a lot of conversation as well around, where are they now? Not Clayton, Cormac, Gorham, as well have been noted, as well as the likes of Georgia Stathis in the 700K range, Heads as well in the 780, probably not as much. And then also in the 500K range, you've got the likes of Kemp has been raised a little bit, alongside the likes of, where even are they, Birch as well. And then in the 400K range, you have got Brown and O'Shea that have been mentioned quite a lot. So I first wanted to start this sort of live stream off almost maybe gaining your thoughts and who you have at D5. And I might actually just pop in a quick sort of poll around who you have at D5. I think I can, let's just run this here. And I think a lot of people will have also potentially Wrench, who I will pop in there as well. I'm just trying to think of popular options. So give me 2 seconds to, I guess, go through this. But I think a lot of people will have a fairly stock standard defense. I don't think there's too many outlandish players, but I think there is a few that you could potentially go to, and I just want to see people's sort of where they're landing for that D5 spot there. So that's the poll up there. But yes, so O'Shea is where I'm currently at with Wrench on the bench. There can obviously be a restructuring that can happen, but I don't want to go in with like a Wrench D5 alongside an OT because I have a feeling one of them's going to fail. But I also want to be able to capture upside and not just go for common picks that are going to generate some cash. So that's why I think O'Shea's a decent option with Carney and Rideout. I think I mentioned this potentially last night or potentially in my my team reveal. But she's one that I've definitely seen some value there off the halfback flank. Brown, I don't like as much, to be honest with you, just because I don't think there's too much upside there. We can get still on the defenders. In the 500k range, you've got Birch, who's there, who I've definitely had in my team at sometimes, but I just don't know if there's as much value given she's priced at 45. She's an extra 9 or so on top of the likes of O'Shea, and that 9 points can easily, like O'Shea can easily eat into quite a lot of that and just be more value. And Kemp, I don't think I've really seen anything of her to warrant saying that she's going to go more than a 50-55, which isn't too much of value there. And then we move into the 600k range, and you've got the likes of McLaughlin there, who I think is value, someone that I've definitely tossed and turned with. And then you got Paxman at 601k. I think Paxman being 20 points unders from her next worst campaign is one that you kind of just have to go there, because I think that she's going to be one that she may only put up a 65, but that 65 could, that is 19 points or so of value, isn't it? Which 19 points of value is huge in AFLW. So yeah, I just think Paxman, worst case scenario, I see her going sort of 60, 65. Best case scenario, I see her going 70. And if she's worst case scenario, she's still making a lot of cash there, just because I think she had just a weird season last year, interrupted, as well as just playing everywhere from memory. If we just go here, we can actually look at Paxman and we can check out what in the world happened. 5 games last year, 46.4%, as well as 73% TOG as well. She was down TOG in a weird position. She had an 18 game. She also had an injury here as well, I believe. If you actually take that injury game out for the 44, I think she even goes up just fractionally. It'll be, what's that, 200, 230, 232 or something, minus 44 is 188. Divided by 4 is somewhere in and around that like 47 marker. So she still is some semblance of value anyway, but I don't think she's going to have an 18 and in that as well. So if you remove that, you really do start to see that she could go 60 odd for the whole season here, just looking at these couple of numbers here. But there's also a chance that she returns to this big number game where she can put up 80 plus scores. But I don't know if that's necessarily Paxi nowadays. And then outside of that, I don't think there's anyone too much in the 600k range, especially with Pound being out for 7 weeks with a shin injury that we went through last night, with the injury list. So that kind of limits the options there. Puller, I just think people are looking too much into this one score that she had. If we actually just quickly look up Puller, she's gonna be on a slightly different name. Yeah, Lucinda Puller. You can see that 61 is her like second highest score of her career, third highest score of her career. It looks like, yeah, third highest score of her career. And so, yeah, I'm not too, I don't think she'll do terribly well at Sydney. I think she probably goes in and around that sort of 55-ish range, 60 range, 55 probably, and 55 at a price tag of roughly 680k, which is around about 52. There's not much value there, to be honest with you. So that's why I'd stay clear of her. So on to the questions that we have. What's your thoughts on Vesio? If we just put up Vesio, she's one that I've sort of definitely had in conversations as well with people and just sort of thought about it. The only red flag that I really have about Vesio is the fact that she can be chucked forward at a moment's notice. So I really don't think she's going to be one that I start for that reason. And I just would like, even though there's a semblance of security there's a much more semblance of security with Lauren Butler's role, even though she is going to be potentially playing as a key defender more so than not. I still think that she has an ability to get into those mid 50s or low 50s. And that's where I really see her at. Whereas Vesio, I could see her going 45 in a bad side if she's chucked forward. If they decide to play, is it Field or something over her? Let me just check if Field was named. She was not named. So if they decide to name Field next week and Vesio goes into the forward line, that's a real concern. Whereas we don't really see that concern with the likes of Butler as much. Thoughts on Barnett at F3? I think I touched on this last night a little bit. I don't like it too much because I don't see the upside there. I still think Frederick is there for the most part to ruck. Barnett will get some ruck games, but I don't really see her pushing more than 60 or so. And she's roughly around the same price as Ham, I believe. If we just go quickly, yeah, she's about 1 point shy of Ham. And I think Ham has that big breakout potential and ability. And Ham's the one that could go 65, 70, or a window could go and push those types of numbers, where I don't really see it with Izzy Barnett, to be honest with you. Do you think it's okay to prioritize spending money in the midfield and having one rookie on field bringing wrench, considering most points scored in the midfield? I understand the theory about point scoring in the midfield, etc., and that being obviously where points are scored most. The one thing I go back on that is that all players are priced at what they averaged last year. So you're not really looking at the midfield zone and going, that player, because they're priced at 70, is worth more value than a player priced at 70 in a different line. It is about upside in the end. So if a player you think has more upside at the same price point in the defender line, you'd much rather go for that and go for the rookies in the midfield, because the rookies in the midfield tend to be a lot deeper. Like we've got Zippy Fish, you've got Centra, you've got Howley, you've got also McKay, and you've also got Fitzpatrick, who are all around rookie price, who I would honestly say, aside from Wrench, are probably the top 6 rookies if I name 6. If I name 5, then they're 5 out of the top 6. That's how much different the rookies are in the midfield compared to the forward line, because the forward line rookies are just unreliable and you're going to have to guess, because even some of the best ones have had their roles diminish, as Cos is going to play most likely as a forward ruck rather than a ruck. And that just diminished her role dramatically in a horrific, and I mean horrific, GWS side. And yeah, even some people are saying Palsy and Painter are also mid-rookies. Yep. I don't rate the Painter pick as much, because I think that with Wrench playing on ball, that Painter won't get as much time on ball. But you can see the theory is that a lot of the real good tacklers are midfielders that play in defense or something of that, or even get a chance on ball, and they just really do shine much more than the small forwards or the key forwards and stuff like that, or the key defenders, and you're going to average like 30, if that. And then we've got here, what's your thoughts on Emma McDonald at F5? I heavily say no. And I say that because if you actually do a side-by-side, and I'm going to quickly bring it up while I'm actually talking to you, because I think it's an easy one for me to bring up. If you look at a side-by-side for Georgia Clark and Emma McDonald, and I've already done it, so it's a little bit easier to do it. But if you bring up a side-by-side of them, you will see in their rookie numbers, like a lot of people are chatting about and I'll bring it up here, about the Coates League numbers for Emma McDonald. Currently, this is Emma McDonald on screen. You can see, if I remove this, you can see here 15.5 touches, 8.9 marks, 6.6, sorry, not 8.9 marks, 8.9 kicks, 6.6 handballs, 5.1 marks, 3.2 hitouts, 2.8 tackles, and 1.4 goals. That averaged, I believe, a 78. Now, let me bring you Georgia Clark, and I'll show you exactly what I mean by it. The only difference is Emma McDonald's 179 centimeters, Georgia Clark's 173. But let's look at Georgia Clark's Coates Talent League. 11 games, 8.8 kicks, 8.9 kicks, 7.1 handballs, 6.6 handballs, 4.0 marks, 5.1 marks, 3.2 hitouts to 4.1, 5.3 tackles, to 2.8 tackles, 1.4 goals to 1.5. If you actually look at the numbers, the AFL numbers for the fantasy numbers for performances, Georgia Clark averaged 86 in her Coach Talent League. Emma McDonald only averaged 78. Now, do you want me to tell you what Georgia Clark averaged in AFLW Fantasy last year? She averaged 15, couldn't touch it in a horrific side. So that's why I'm just worried a key forward, 390K. I've said it to other people, and I don't know if I'm not going to bring up their chats, but I'm just going to double check what I actually said to it. But I'm pretty sure I said something along the lines of I'll say it here. I genuinely have a sneaky suspicion McDonald goes like 15 and then scores a 55 after that and is still around 400K after 2 weeks. Now, that's gettable because she'll probably have a good break even by then. But like that, I just don't see it with McDonald at the moment compared to someone like a Butler or even a Vesio or a rate higher, just because I think those girls have a much better ability and a much better role in the side that they can genuinely put up sort of that 60 or 70 score. I mean, McDonald will probably have one of those scores, but she's also, I should preface this, that McDonald has a lot bigger of ability to score like a 15 or something like that. We saw, I think Georgia Clark even put up like a 10 or something in last year's game. So if I even just bring this up for you guys, if I go here and go, I think it's this way, Georgia Clark. I think it's this one. Yes, it is. And you'll see here that she put up a 12, a 10, a 22, and a 16. And in that 22, the most difference is that she actually kicked a goal. Aside from that, she really didn't do much else. So, and you can just see her junior numbers. A 112 here, a 93, a 99, a 66, etc. You can see the 80s in all here. And she was playing VFLW in 2023 when she was playing Coates League. And she still wasn't putting up like good enough numbers in the AFLW. So that just shows to me the class difference there. And you can see she actually she's kicked, one goal, one. She's kicked 2 goals at VFLW or AFLW level in 7 outings. And I think that just shows how much of a step up it takes. And I think also the numbers, if you look at like Erdely, Wardlaw, Shearlaw, and all the other Bodie and all the Miloney as well, all the other top line key forwards, they take 2 or 3 years at least in the league to get to those high scores. And if you look at their sort of baseline rookie numbers, it's mostly in and around that 40 or so marker, which isn't the best, to be honest with you. So, I'd almost say that the likes of Cos at 300K is almost a better player. I did try and look at someone like a Hayley McLaughlin, I think it is, not the McLaughlin from the likes of Gold Coast. If we just go here, you can see, is it Hayley, this one? Yeah, Hayley. But it looks like she's playing a half forward, and that's an unreliable role. But I did like that she did put it on the scoreboard in a consistent manner in the preseason. But I still don't like that role, to be honest. So unless she's suddenly named on a wing or something like that, I think all of us should be trying to stay clear of her and also the likes of McDonald. So moving on to the next question, thoughts on running a deep backline with Thomas and Watson as D1, D2? Well, if you actually look at the current side that I've got, and I'm trying to not give it 100% away. Let's just run with doing that. You will see I've got 229K spare, and I've got O'Shea here. And now you're probably wondering, if I actually get rid of this question here, you can see it there. You're probably wondering, how in the world is that is that in any way, shape, or form answering the question? Well, I've got 230K. If Centra was to fire in tonight's game, and it was to mean that she's a fieldable option in the future, going off of like Fish, etc., then I would probably beef up O'Shea to the likes of a Watson. Well, I've already got Watson, to probably a Thomas or something of that regard, and get a Howley and just play Zippy Fish on field for 1 week. cop a little bit of a loss because like Centra is on the bench, etc. But it wouldn't be too many. It would probably be like 20 points or something. But yeah, I'd do that rather than and almost have a potential finished backline already. We'd say that, but almost have a finished backline potentially by the start of the year. And so I do think there is merit in doing that if you do believe that the likes of Centra and Fish can be offset fieldable. I still believe in the fact that you're going to need to get some help up towards the top in the M5. You're going to need some help to be able to upgrade it when the when you're in season with the 3 trades, because you're going to need to be spending probably 1.2 million on that option. So I think that's where you're going to need to really be able to upgrade. And so I think that the likes of Patricios, who might be able to go plus 30 or something and be ultra value, is really valuable because she's in that spot where she can make that jump. We saw Ainsley McCarthy do this last year. So we're betting on the likes of a Patricios to do it this year, which I think is all but possible, but we'll just have to wait and see. So next question, who's a good F6? That I think I'm different to the crowd in terms of the F6. I'm much more on the play it safe, don't play it risky, because you want the cash generation, you want the flexibility. I think I've said that too many times to count. And so I'm up in the sort of Butler Vesio range at F6 alongside having the likes of Atonement at F5 currently, compared to some people that I've seen running a McDonald F5, Cos F6 area or Cox F6 area. So also that's Cox is probably one that you can also look at in the F6 range as well. If you are looking for someone that you don't want to have the likes of McDonald, Cox is probably the next also that you can potentially look at. But yeah, I knew that this sort of chat before the team sheets come out would sort of revolve around the likes of a F5, F6 area, because yeah, I thought that that was the key area that a lot of people, including myself, were going to struggle with itself, because that is one of the hardest areas I find to sort of fix on field and on bench. Well, in just general, my team in general. So yeah, I thought that was going to be a struggle, and so I thought you guys would have a lot of questions, as you guys have had on that. So best rookie forward for 300k, it's going to be Cos, but I wouldn't be potentially going there, to be honest with you. So yeah, I would be looking at someone. I'd be looking at someone else there, to be honest. But I guess you can go there, but I personally wouldn't. I'd be going up a little bit higher to enable you to, I guess, just get a better player in there, I guess. But Cos is probably going to average, 40, 45, which will be all right, but it won't be perfect. F4, F5 at the current moment is actually a Tonin and Too Good F4, F5 combo. So yeah, I'm pretty strong on the forward combo at the moment there. And then we've already walked through that question. Thanks a lot, Lee. And then you've got, do you think it's better to run a deep backline and a mid-pricer M5, or a massive midfield with Prasparkas M5 and O'Shea at D5? I wouldn't back my ability to pick for the top 4 midfielders, to be honest with you. And so that's why I'm currently on the 3 midfielders, Prasparkas plus a mid-pricer. And also I think it gives me flexibility comparatively. I don't think running the 4 big mids plus Prasparkas gives you as much flexibility and as much value, because we think that Prasparkas is going to be value. I don't think it gives you as much value if someone like a Centra becomes fieldable how do you even maneuver around? So I think it is picking up the value in the midfield and having a strong midfield, but it isn't going completely, I'm basically finishing my midfield. I think it is about having the flexibility to react to how the game is, how the round is going and stuff like that. Because I do think there will be a lot of, I do think I will probably have to change stuff after the first game of the first couple games tonight. We'll see about that, but I hope I don't, but I probably will have to just because of things, as well as team sheets are probably going to throw up some chaos. There are 3 Geelong forward rookies as well. Did Geelong name quite a lot of players? I will try and find this for you guys quickly if Geelong named quite a few players in their AFLW side. Let's just grab this up here. And you will see, 1 second, I'm scrolling a little bit. Here we go. This is going to find it. Round 1 team, it's getting closer, etc. Here we go. I think this is what we're intending to sort of look at here. But as you can see, you've got Kilpatrick as well. Let's make this a little bit bigger for you guys here. 1 second here. Grab this up here. Make this a little bit bigger. So you have Kilpatrick debuting. You've also got Dunlop debuting. And I don't think there's anyone else here. Let me just check. I don't think there's anyone else. There might be a club debutant coming, but yeah, it's and then so there's quite a lot there. And then if we just do a quick look at the stats and then the positions are not debutants, is it just in general the forwards? Let me just double check this. Let's just see. Let's see. I don't exactly understand what you mean by the 3 Geelong forwards. Maybe that's referencing, is there 3 300k girls or something? But yeah, if we just look at this, you've got 2 300k rookies there, but you've also got at the top of the line, you've got Maloney, Parry, Friswell. Maloney's probably the only one that's going to be Thorne, O'Rourke, and Kearney. Thorne, where is Thorne at 383k? I don't see there being much value with her. She's played 5 games for an average 30. O'Rourke was someone that I did look at potentially, but she's played, so she's probably going to be one that potentially is value, but we'll see about that. And then you have Thorne, O'Rourke, and Kearney. Kearney, 7 games for 25. Don't think there's much value there, to be honest with you. So yeah, I don't see there being much value with the Geelong forwards at the present moment there. But anyway, we move on to the next one. We are still about just shy of 20 minutes from team news, which team news is going to cause a little bit of chaos here, I have a feeling, because we are going to run through the teams, and teams are going to cause probably a couple of restructures. So we'll see how it goes, but just going to be hopeful that we can sort of get through it, I would say. So yeah, that's that. But yeah. If you guys do have more questions about it, like I had even a theory, not a theory, but a sort of question today with regards to my team. Having 230k was with the ruck line, what to do with it, because there was a thought, I currently have Scholes, and there was a thought I could get up to a Lucy Wales and still have 100 and something K left or whatever. I think it'd be about 100k flat maybe. But yeah, I thought maybe I can get up to Lucy Wales, but then you look at her start, and I'm going to bring this up for you with regards to the stats by Jaden on the AFLW statistics and the scale of hardness. Now, the scale of hardness, we do need to take into account that there is the fact that the some of the rookie, well, not rookie, some of the rucks were injured last year or are injured this year. So there is that. But if we look at it for Port Adelaide, you will see that they're a -2, but they've got the Freo, North Melbourne, Gold Coast, West Coast. That's an all right run. It's not perfect. Then they do go into Melbourne, Geelong, St Kilda, Western Bulldogs. But then you've also got the likes of Hawthorn, who have Brisbane. Carlton are a really horrific run, but then they go into a couple games, and then they have the Adelaide -20, which is an absolute horrific game. So that kind of was annoying because you look outside of that basically for Hawthorn and they have a clean run for the rest of it. But yeah, just don't get that early joy. Whereas the likes of Port Adelaide, probably they stay away from that Adelaide matchup, so they stay and really do get some joy there. So Schultz might only have 5 points of value in something like that. She might even be just evens, but she's going to help from keeping Strom in check, I have a feeling, is what I'm going to put it at. And then we move on to the next one here. Thoughts on Ella Heads over Pats? I was early on Heads in pre-season, and I was early on Packs as well, but I had them both in my side for quite a while. But I don't think Heads will be as bad as what people are saying, but I think that there is a limited upside. I mean, let's just quickly look at her in terms of defenders here and get to Heads. I think she's priced at 784. She's priced at about 60 average. She's probably going to go around that 65. But I think if she had a better coach that was a little bit more chippy in the back line, she'd probably go 70, 72, which would be so top of the line that it wouldn't even be funny. It would be top 5 or so, and you'd be getting her for like a top 10 or so price. So yeah, I'm a little bit hesitant at the moment, but she's one that I'm happy to jump on early if it allows. Like maybe even I go something, maybe she's the way to get to someone like a O'Shea up to her, and then you have let's just run this through. If we do think that Centra is going to be good, then we run, say, a Howley. She wouldn't be on field, Howley, but let's actually do. Can't do Fitzpatrick because she's the first game of the round, which sucks. But say a Howley, and then we run a Heads over here. And then suddenly you're looking at that and you're going, it's not the worst there. And it starts to beef up. Could go all the way up to Thomas as well there if I thought that Thomas could even get better. And then that would leave me with 73K there, but not at the moment there. I'm going to go and stick with the current side that I have. But it definitely is a watch that the likes of Ella Heads I still think has a little bit of value to be made in this season. So yeah, there's that one. And now we're kind of just waiting a little bit for the game, for the team list to come out for regards to that poll that we had earlier on about the current D5. O'Shea, 36%, McLaughlin, 7%, and then you've also got Wrench and Paxman at 28%. So quite a fair spread of things at the moment there with that. Before we move on a little bit, and whilst you're getting your questions in, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload and when I do go live, as I'll be trying to go live a little bit more consistently this off season, this AFLW season, to come out with you guys with, it will be a more live version of trade targets alongside, I think, team lists and lineups. So every Wednesday or Thursday, we will be doing one for you guys out there, because it is a little bit easier to sort of, I guess, articulate my thoughts than in the comment section on a just general video. So I think it's a little bit easier, and you can sort of see where I'm looking, what I'm looking at for my research and stuff like that, alongside sort of my point of view. Anyway, moving on to Vesio versus Butler. I think we had this conversation earlier on in this live stream, but I can rehash it. Vesio, I think, would be much better value than Butler if she wasn't a decent enough small forward. It's just the fact that she's a good small forward. We've seen her already this season swung forward. So that's why I'm sort of against it and more on the Butler side of things. Obviously, both of them could fail and everything else break. But I do think that the likes of Butler is probably the better one. So I do think that I'm going to end up going Butler over the likes of Vesio. So then for the best forwards, I might as well, at this point, I might as well almost create sort of a background here that says the best forwards are X, Y, Z, and just keeping on with that, because yeah, I get this quite a lot. If I had to rank them, you know what I can actually kind of do? You know what I can do actually is I can potentially actually, if we go to what would it be, statuses, favorites, maybe that might be the way to do it. I have too many favorites, but I can get rid of all the favorites here. Might take a second, but we can sort of get down to the forward options. I would say is probably the best way to do this. So I will get rid of all of the favorites here. And I for some reason, every year I do this where I start labeling favorites and then never actually touch the favorites side of things. So you got Cox there. Let's just put McDonald. Let's grab her to be able to put into this. So if we go McDonald, this one, and then you've got the likes of Cos here as well. So let's grab up her just for this sake. And then you've got the likes of Vesio, Butler, and also the likes of Tonin as well. So we will grab all of them up. It might be a little bit obvious by who's in red for you guys, who I've sort of have at the top of my list. But yeah, I think it should give you guys a fair chunk of what I'm looking at. But anyway, you got this, and it's in price order. If I had to give you a sort of based on a value, it's not going to be based on exactly point scoring, because we know that some of them are going to score better, but score actually less above their price point, if that makes some sense, because Cos has to go maybe, 12 points less than Butler to outdo her. So she almost is in consideration there, but she has the factor of her being 300k and getting stuck and not being able to upgrade her, which is a massive no-no. So that kind of puts her back down. Whereas Cox, not as much. So, but she doesn't have as much leeway there. So if I was to rank them in order of scoring, and value, I go Tonin, Butler, Vesio, Cox, then probably McDonald, and then Cos. I think Cos's role has just capitulated for me, I think, recent days, because of the likes of O'Dowd landing back in Australia and being confirmed back and playing. Even though Cos is debuting, I just don't think she gets too much ruck time, and 20% ruck time for her. I don't think she's going to be able to score too much. Obviously, we can correct, and if she does come out and score well, then we can change. But I just don't see it at the moment for her. And I do like the 400k options, because I do think that they will enable you to maneuver around a little bit, have more flexibility. I've said this countless times. And I think that's the way I want to go with it. I know a lot of people are going more down I want as much points on field and stuff like that. And in my personal opinion, missing the point of grabbing value on the bench, and actually having missing the point of cash generation. Because if you look at most sides, they have rookies on field, let alone they have also a lot of mid prices. And we know mid prices are hit and miss. They fail, some really do well. So there's a very good chance you're probably still, let's take my team, for example. O'Shea, going to need an upgrade. Paxman, probably going to need an upgrade, but that could be an easy one. And McLaughlin, probably going to need an upgrade. So that's already 3 that are probably going to need upgrades. Then you're looking at Patricios and Prisparkis, probably going to need upgrades on there. There's 5. But some of them can be done in the same week, because you might get a rookie that gains enough cash to be able to do that. And then you're probably going to need an upgrade of, I think I said Scholes. So that's, I think, 6. And then probably, hopefully, only one of Window or Ham and Tonin. So that's probably 8 upgrades needed. And if you look at that's probably 6 or so weeks worth of upgrades, maybe 5. The reason I've set it up like this is because I think that you can get away with a little bit with regards to the ham window. If they fail, you can almost do both of them in a week, upgrading wise. If the likes of McLaughlin and Paxman fail and don't do too well without their price, if they go 2 or 3 weeks, they'll have done enough almost to get to the point where they can be upgraded in the same week if you get sort of a 700k rookie, because a 700k rookie can basically get you, if these two get up to sort of 700k or so, 780k, they can 750k, sorry, then that's sort of 1500 plus a 700k rookie, that's 2200. So you get about 900k each for defenders. And the defender line, if we're looking at basically anyone aside from the likes of Gay or Tilly Lucas Rod, you're basically, look at that, Thomas, 900k, so that's one of them. And then you can get someone potentially like an Ellinger or a McAvoy or someone like that. You could also see the likes of Gay or Lucas Rod go down in price. Gay might not even be available for the whole season, which might help that out in terms of the drop-in standard for the top line players, etc. So yeah, I do think that the way I've set it up gives me the best flexibility, but also the best ability to upgrade when I need. It's just actually maximizing cash generation for me that I really need to do there. So we are now only a couple of minutes shy. We are now 7 minutes shy of the team list, which I should probably just set up for you guys. So if we just go, I think it will be, no, that's Jaden's one. So let's just go and grab up the AFLW lineups quickly and maybe do sort of a 2-minute hash over what happened yesterday with the team list here. If we just go quickly to this. As many of you mentioned already, Vesio in the back line, Poppy Schultz, not as bad in the back line as I thought initially. And then you've got, that is a half forward and a half line of McKay, Guring, and Fitzpatrick. So there's that. And then nothing else really for Carlton. And then Collingwood, you have Centra being named on ball is basically that. Alongside, you got Butler and Cronin holding down the key defensive stocks. So yeah, that'll be interesting there. And that's pretty much that one. I don't think there's any much there. And then you got the West Coast versus Gold Coast game, getting through this one. McGrath is pretty much a no-go now that you've got both Wafer, the Lauren Wafer, and also the likes of Lakay in there. So, yeah, you've got that. And then you also had the likes of Jess Wrench being named on ball. Charlie Rowbottom named R1 because we know that Gold Coast like to do some dumb things with their team lists. And then nothing else really crazy. I would say just a watch on the West Coast midfield is this for this game, because that could be annoying because they've named like 6 on-ballers. And then you've also got the likes of Gold Coast basically naming Gregory as ruck because is it Lauren Bella didn't get up or something? I don't know exactly what happened there. And then you got Neem McLaughlin in the back line. The reason why I left this question fractionally is because I do value Rowbottom over the likes of Gardiner because of her tackling, but I don't think it's going to have much of a difference, to be honest, at all. I don't think that one or the other is going to make or break a season like we've seen with other picks. So I prefer Rowbottom, and I will pay the extra 50, 60K for her. But I understand people being like, oh, that extra 60K that Gardner gets actually enables something else to happen. I haven't had that in my team as of yet, so that's why I'm more on the Rowbottom. Do you think Mithun will be better value than Petrikios? I don't honestly know, to be honest with you. I think she could. That midfield is pretty... She has been named at half forward, but I think that she'll still play 60% CBAs. So there is that value there that she probably is still just going to play anyway in the midfield quite a lot. But being named not in the first one over someone and having Maddie Brancatisano named over you, probably not the best thing. But we'll see how that goes, I guess, in the long run. But I think that Mithun, I'd rather wait a little bit and grab into her if she shows something rather than actually go for her at the moment, because I think Patricios just offers a little bit more value, to be honest. But that is probably just my personal opinion. And I don't think I don't think either will break the game, to be honest with you. Obviously, one of them could go off compared to the other. I think they'll both show value. And both could be absolutely stunning picks. I just think that I would much rather the likes of Patricios, who has a little bit better of a role compared to Mithun at the present time. Now we are only 3 minutes out from teams. If you have any other questions, put them below before we hit the, I guess, almost go button for the season as we get full team lists. I believe the Sunday games do have the extended bench, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll find out in a couple minutes when the team lists drop. But yeah, I'm pretty content with my team at the moment. It does have currently maybe one or two 50-50 decisions based on team lists and all, and based on the Thursday night games. But aside from that, I don't think there's too much different there as we wait on the team lists there. Before we get the team list, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I go live in the future as well. Thoughts on running 5 premiums with Prasparkas M5? I just don't like the flexibility it doesn't provide, because it feels like you're stuck when you have a premium. Even if the premium underperforms, it's like, it's a premium. Do I really want to almost sideways trade? And then you feel that, I guess, you almost feel like no matter what you do with that, you're going to do the wrong decision, because if you hold that person, then you feel like you're just going to make a wrong call initially with your starting team, and then that you've missed out on the opportunity. Whereas if you go on the opportunity and that player turns it around, you're like, damn, I should have just held and stuff like that. So I don't really like the going so big on the midfield, because it feels like I just feel like I'd make the wrong call there. Whereas if a call is more streamlined, like going up with like a Patricios up, etc., once a couple rounds, or because they fail, that's where I'm like, okay. Whereas if you're trading down or sidewaysing, it's like or moving around positions, like getting that 1.1 or something, or million from the midfield and pushing it into the back line or the forward line, it just doesn't feel as strong to me, I would say. But that's just my thoughts there on that one as we get inside the last minute or so before teams are named for round 1 of the AFLW season. And yeah, there's a lot of chats at the moment that are going off as well. So yeah, we will see how that goes. But I'm excited for this, but also nervous about just some random thing coming up, some player randomly being injured. I know my first season of AFLW, we had Bowers injured round 1. And we had to go for Swanson, and Swanson just didn't score as well. It was the last game of the round and basically got screwed over. I know that won't happen here because we'll have time to readjust, but team sheets can throw up absolutely anything. So we'll just see what they do. And so we will see what comes out of the rounds. They're probably going to start to show teams. So for the Sydney versus Richmond game, anything out of the ordinary? Pull out halfback. That's more interesting, I would say. McCarthy, Zippy Fish named on bench. Not really too concerned about that. She will do what she needs to do. And Monham named at half forward. That's interesting. And then you have Chloe Malloy named as in there. I am not too concerned about that. Maloney named on the bench. It was the 21 or whatever that I expected, so I'm not too concerned about that. You can read into team lists X, Y, and Z, but yeah, that is exactly what I thought would happen for them. And then for the likes of the Richmond Tigers, you have got, as well as I'm seeing this, I saw Corey's message right when I if you look at my cursor, I did sort of this, and I scrolled through, and that's when I went, oh, okay. But yeah, Izzy Baker named in the back pocket. You can scrap her off So you can go start changing your list now, because Izzy Bacon is probably the first casualty of the team lists. And just looking at that, and it makes total sense because there's just an extra midfielder here for the likes. They've named Barildson on ball. Did they not see her play at Sydney? I'm sorry. I'm intrigued about this. I swear she was playing at Sydney last year. Yeah, playing at Sydney last year and playing the small forward, I swear. So that's intriguing about that. But they've named a forward on ball and put Bacon in the back line. I think that's more than just a silly buggers with the team sheet, basically. I think that is a genuine difference rather than just naming. Yeah. So interesting, but that means that less time for Bacon. That pretty much deadens that pick. Geelong versus Kangaroos. Let's just go through. Georgie Spark is named on ball. That's good to see. Alongside McDonald and Dunlop named as well, which is good. O'Rourke and all those rookies that we were sort of talking about earlier with Geelong as well. That's good. Friswell on the wing. And then I see nothing really outlandish. Am I missing something anywhere with that? I don't think so. For the Kangaroos, Riddell, Gardner, King on ball, Rennie Rucking, O'Loughlin up forward. Don't really see anything. It's annoying that Bruton isn't more involved, I feel like. Is it just me? Because, O'Shea was the 21st person I looked at for North Melbourne there. And I was like, where is she? Where is she? Because I went bottom up and could not find her for a second. And I maybe have skipped the breath there. But she's named. That is totally fine, I think. But yeah, that is exactly what we sort of expected, I would say. Nothing outlandish there for those ones. GWS versus Essendon. This one's probably an interesting one. Interesting. The first name I saw was Grace Cos in the ruck alongside Matilda Dyke, if I was looking right there. And then you've got the likes of, where even is Murphy? Where is Murphy? Am I missing something? Named at half forward. Interesting. That's interesting. I would say right now, the rookie ruck theory is probably dead and buried. I don't think you can run the rookie rucks because I don't think there's a second valuable option there. And if Dunlop fails, you've got nowhere to run without major restructuring, losing around and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't think I'd even want Murphy as a bench product now that Dyke's been named there. But anyway, let's just go through this. The most annoying thing about this is this one here should be named instead. I know Sir Hoy's a great player, but come on now. Goldsworthy is one of the best mid-forward transition players in the game, and you've just named her at half forward and are content with almost letting her have less on-ball time for half forward time when your team is horrific. Like, the ball's not going to get down to her. Cos, it's intriguing. I don't know, because O'Dowd's been named, I don't know if it changed too much of my opinion. It's intriguing that she's starting ruck though. Maybe that changes a little bit, and maybe that maybe she's more on the radar for a round one fix-up out of some of the forwards that I've got. But I'd like to see the role first. Howley on the wing. You'd like to see a better role than that a little bit, but not too bad. And then Brown as well in the back pocket. That's good to see for those that have her. I'm not one of them. Then we get to the Essendon. It's good to see Bonnie Toogood back. That is interesting. And then you've got as well the likes of Nanscorn, Praspark is there. Nothing outlandish. And obviously the likes of Maddie Gay not available at the moment for Essendon. But also one of the big things that we're seeing here is Baloney named on ball. Gayla not named on ball. Gayla named at half back. That probably takes a lot of her points away. And then that's pretty much that for Essendon. And then we get down to Western Bulldogs versus Melbourne. Now, one of the things we wanted to look at was for potentially a Gorham. She hasn't been named. So that means that Georgia Staff is probably going to score pretty well. That backline looks horrific, to say the least. McDonald named at half forward as well for the likes. What in the... Why have you named your best on-baller at half forward? This is why we take... this is why we basically disregard team sheets, because if Blackburn's named and plays half forward as a small forward, then Western Bulldogs are going to struggle, because she's one of your best players. You play her in her right position. And then nothing else outlandish, I don't think, from Western Bulldogs. And then you've got Melbourne, Kate Hall playing as scheduled to play as a forward, I would say is probably the best way. Heath named up, that is a weak on-ball lineup. Paxi named on the wing. Don't think we expected any different. And then Molly O'Hare playing at halfback. Aside from that, I don't think there's any changes or anything outlandish. Mithun, Campbell, Johnson, Fitzsimmons, Pisano. And then, a lot of players I just want to wait a week. And then Gouldrick not being named is interesting. Brisbane versus Hawthorn, let me just refresh to get the Sunday teams here. And as you can see, extended bench. We will see tomorrow what changes here. But if we go to Brisbane, you've got Conan named at halfback. So that's interesting. Weird. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, they've got 8 on the bench. Plus, they're starting 16, which puts it at 24 of their 30 players. So yeah. And you got Conan at halfback and Ellinger at halfback. So that's interesting to see that Conan's not named on ball. Anderson, Conway, and Isabella Dawes. I still think that she'll be the fourth on baller. Even just quietly looking at this bench for Brisbane, I don't think I see an on baller in there. So unless they go to Savak, or probably the Sparks itself, or maybe even a Mullins, I think that Conan should get some on-ball minutes, which would help. And then you've got for Hawthorn, you've got McDonough, Cox, Allen, Gilroy, Fleming, Bodie on a wing. And then Lucas Rod named at halfback, which is good there, as well as Kemp. And then Lucy Wales named as well as the ruck. And then nothing outlandish. I don't think Stones or McLaughlin might even play this, but I don't think anyone is really popping out as not as something that I'm missing. Ott being named as the follower, as the ruck. Let's see if Karras. I'm sorry, but you just know the script that Dal Santos has wrote here. You can just almost write it. And also, where is Patrikios? Where is Patrikios been named at this? So have they had a coaches meeting and just said, we're going to name our best on-baller at the forward flank position? Is this what we're really going to do? Because, I don't think... I think a lot of teams have taken that approach. You've had, I think, Ham, you've had Goring, you've had Patrikios, you've had Blackburn, just to name a few. That is interesting that Patrikios is named here. That's probably a watch. And Jacobson might not play. Isn't she one of the taller ones? Let's just see this here. Jacobson, defender, 174 centimeters. Who would jump back then? Because you're going to have Lambert and Smith were always going to be in the midfield. Janome Anderson, I'm pretty sure, is a midfielder as well. So, that's intriguing. But I don't know who would jump necessarily into the back line for that. But it is a little bit annoying to see Patrikios down. I don't think I'd take too much into these sort of teams at the moment because there's so much to wash over a little bit. Adelaide, you're going to see Marinoff named. Yep. No. And I do see the chat here, and Corey and some others and we'll get to Port Adelaide in a second. I have seen that. No Randall this week is a big one. And that does help the likes of Tonin get off the mark, I would think. Because Ponta, I think, plays... what the heck is... Who are you? I'm sorry, I feel bad for doing this, but Charlton, Ponter's going to play on ball. Ponter is, I have a feeling Ponter and Newman's going to play on ball, and Charlton was just chucked there. So I'm a little bit confused about that. I think Ponter will go there for Charlton, and then you will also see potentially Ewings get a game as well. But yeah, they're just so strong, the Crows, and they'll get over the line there. And then to end the round, you have got Port Adelaide versus Fremantle. Schultz named as well. Window on ball. That's a good sign. I knew this was going. I even knew this was going to happen. And why? Why do you think someone like Saji Syme is a better halfback flanker than Ella Heads, after Ella Heads was almost one of the best intercept defender in the league? And yeah, Charlton is probably someone that I missed. Let me actually double check this. Tia Charlton, let's see, what did I miss? Tia Charlton, 7.5 tackles in season 8. It's not the best, not the worst. It's kind of just average for 35% CBA is not the best, not the worst. But yeah, that's not anywhere high for so yeah, that's not anywhere high for a midfielder there, to be honest. As you know, her you've got the likes of Ebony Marinoff, who puts up stonks of tackles, 10.4, 12.2. So there's a lot from Ebony Marinoff. But yeah, that was a little bit surprising to see that. But yeah, Ella Heads on the wing definitely is probably a sign, I would say, with the team list that they've got there. Tahu playing at half back is interesting as well. So yeah, that's interesting. Window or Ham? I'd probably go Ham just because we've seen in patches more so, whereas Window is more of a role-based thing. So and taking natural steps, whereas I think Ham has shown it before. And then outside of that, we get to Fremantle, Stocks, Kaufman, Newton, Bowers, Stannett's going to be named at, as I said, one of your best midfielders named in this forward pocket. It's common, not what. Oh, she's actually named off halfback. Interesting. Slightly different. And Hayley Miller this time is named off the half forward flank. So that's interesting. But yeah, they have an overload of midfielders. I still think Stannett's going to do well because she just tackles everything that she sees. And I think that's pretty much changed. It's a little bit harder to and surely McCarthy gets up for this. And that would be another player that's just in that midfield mix. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm seeing there. Let's get to the sort of, I guess, the questions that have come from the team lists. Cos number 1, ruck. Yeah, we saw that. I don't think it has too much of an. I'd probably wait and watch for a round, but it does pique my interest a little bit in terms of going into her, as I think she might have potentially maybe 10, 15 points more upside if she is the number 1 ruck rather than the secondary. Riddell or Gardner, I like Riddell because it's been said a little bit that Garner might spend a little bit more time up forward, but we'll see about that. Conan named half back. Sunday teams are weird. Yep. Heads on the wing, we went through that. And then Ella Friend half forward might play in the defense. Yep. Window or Ham, we went through that. Syme or Heads might just switch with the Sunday teams. I agree with that. Don't know what they're doing there with the likes of Heads at half at that spot. Don't think there's value there. And then is it worth swapping O'Shea? I don't think so. I think O'Shea is going to be completely fine. She only needs to go like 45 to be value. And that North Melbourne, even the North Melbourne backline, if they put Sheeran on ball for a little bit or anyone else, like there's just no real distributor back there. So I think that someone can just come in there and score really well. And all she has to do is score a 55 to be really good. So I think that I think O'Shea is still fine. But we could, if Centra scores well or something of that regard, we could move O'Shea up to potentially Georgia Stathos or something like that, depending on how Centra goes. And then is heads down to Georgia Stathis a move at this time? I would say so. I would say Georgia Stathis has that Western Bulldogs backline. And it might even be a move that I make is moving Georgia Stathis, moving McLaughlin up to Georgia Stathis there, to be honest with you. Because that I see Georgia Stathis' value. It's just been that 5, that pesky little 5 that she had to start the season last year is annoying me. And that it just worries me that she does something like that again. So yeah, there's that. And I think that is about it. I know we've been running and it is 6:35 now. So I think I will try and leave you guys there so you have 30 or so minutes before the start of the season to get away with your final your final moves before the first lockout. I know that we have the rolling lockout, which will help, but I do think that my team isn't going to change too much. It's probably just that backline and figuring it out. But I have time because I don't think any of my backline is locked in. It's set for at 9:15 with the likes of McLaughlin. So that will give me a little bit of time there. But I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on, as you will have more content from me throughout the AFLW season. And I will see you guys in a little bit, in probably on Saturday, I think is the next video that will go live, which will probably be the Thursday and Friday night game reviews. So you'll see me in that one there. Bye, guys.